Welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight. I'm Jules Kober, and today Tony Sayers is back. His website is transcendingtimes.org. He also has a YouTube channel, a BitChute channel, an Odyssey channel. So if you wish to see all his material, I suggest you subscribe to all of them. So, Tony, welcome back.
You said my name right today.
Yes. I practiced.
I'm lucky.
So how are you? No more attacks from the ascending crowd?
No, that's gone a bit quiet now. Yeah, I upset the apple cart a little bit with the whole magenta pixie. But yeah, you know what? It's funny. I've had so many people gravitate over to my channel that saw the video, were mature enough and courageous enough to actually listen to the breakdowns. And then, of course, the overreaction. It was obvious that, you know, why would you react like that if I'm just a nobody, really, in terms of comparing the amount of subscribers she had. So yeah, and more people are coming over, and it's really, I said the other day, it's almost like there needs to be an awakening from the awakening. That what they've cleverly done is they knew people were going to start to wake up to, you know, truths and their true nature, and so they've created this next layer of the game, and people have gone right into being a debt slave, into this spiritual, thinking they're awake, and it's just another layer in the matrix. But yeah, it's really refreshing to see so many people gravitate over and realize the scam that these people are running, and the deceptions, the very well hidden deceptions that is ingrained within some of those teachings, which, you know, although very subtle, just lead people totally astray and no further forward. In fact, a lot of the time backwards. So it's been interesting.
So a subject like this one, the false god matrix, of course, that can trigger a lot of people. It might ruffle feathers, which is not intended, at least not at my end. But I think it's a good idea to make clear what is our perspective on this. Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
You go first.
Okay, sure. So what I'm going to say is that no, I'm not an atheist. Yeah, I do see intelligent design. I see it in every leaf. I see it in my body. I see it all around me. So I will not ignore that. So there has to be an intelligence, a creator. That being said, I also think that we will not find that creator in any of our religions. And that's for another time. Just go ahead.
Yeah.
Explain your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the biggest trick in this matrix is getting people to look outside of themselves and to not truly realize their own power and their own, what they truly are at their core. So whether that be God, whether that be a politician, whether that be archangels, whether it be friendly aliens, there's a whole smorgasbord of different things that you can look out to, you know, which gives people like a false sense of empowerment, and takes the responsibility away from themselves, so they, you know, perhaps they don't have to do anything. And we have within our collective psyche, and I don't know where this started, there seems to be some kind of subconscious program where we desperately want a savior, and this is the problem. This is where, you know, so many people are getting stuck, because they are looking outside of themselves for someone or something to save them. So the one of the biggest deceptions, like I say, in this whole matrix is that simple fact that, you know, they want to get people to look outside of themselves. And really researching this subject and just logically thinking how much sense it made really made me go with this, because, you know, when you consider this God that we have here, which is in many religions, and not even religions, a lot of people who don't necessarily believe in God believe that there's this being that you have to pray to. But when you think about it, it's like, when you look at the bare facts, you have a God that, you know, if you don't believe in him, he's going to send you to hell to burn forever and ever. And people, I mean, I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound very loving, right? And, you know, this God expects worship. I mean, imagine, like, you're the creator of everything. It's like praying to your mother for giving birth to you and worshipping your mother. Like, nobody does that. You don't go, I mean, maybe like at times you might show gratitude for what your mother's done, but it's not like you're praying daily to your mother for giving birth to you. It's like, what kind of, why does he need so much praise? Why does he need so much attention? Like, this God's really needy, right? I mean, if it's me and I've created this planet and I've created these beings called humans, the last thing I'm going to do is expect my subjects that I've created to, quote unquote, worship me and pray to me and all that kind of stuff. And when you actually look at that, essentially what you're dealing with is a narcissist, right? You know, this is a narcissist that wants worship, wants people to get up at 4 a.m. in some religions and give him energy, do all these stupid rituals, which at their base level are satanic, as we know, you know, breaking bread and the blood, you know, that's really creepy. So who is this God, right? So what we have essentially is a false God that is, in my view, and working with the work that I do, knowing how these false white light beings work and masquerade and siphon people off, we have the same thing with the God and Jesus, and all these beings are literally just entities that we are giving our power away to, and they're siphoning our energy and keeping us in that deceptive savior program. So really, the God that we have, that everyone speaks of in religions and stuff, is nothing more than an entity that is using human worship and prayer energy to power itself. So yeah, it's and all the archangels and all the other beings that are doing the bidding work for this false God. So it's like a big team. So yeah, that's my opinion on this false God matrix.
Yeah. So we have a lot of people that are investigating, let's say the criminal banking industry, our corrupt politicians, our totally useless education system, and what have you. So what makes people think, even for 1 second, that the same people and entities, because there is a non-human aspect to that, gave them their criminal banking system, the education system, politics, what have you? What makes them think for 1 minute that religion is untouched by that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you hear it a lot. And actually, I've noticed a lot of people, since this whole COVID thing started, a lot of people have gravitated towards religion. I think a lot of people have become desperate. And, you know, they're realizing that we're living in very intense times now. And even people in alternative media, I've noticed that a lot of people have gravitated now towards religion. And they're saying, yeah, but what's in the Bible is coming true. Well, yeah, of course it's coming true, because they wrote the thing. it's not, you know, they're not prophesizing anything. It was written by the same people. And you know yourself, Judith, religion is a wonderful tool to control and divide the population, like whose religion is best, you know, Jews versus Muslims versus Christians versus Catholics. I mean, just you've got the Pope wearing the robes with the paedophile signs on his. I mean, it's like, how much more evidence do we need that religion is at its core satanic, really? And again, what they've done is they've inverted it, and they've inverted the whole idea of what you spoke about initially, that there is a creative essence in existence. And that's one thing that I want to make clear and underpin. I'm not saying that there is no creative essence. And in fact, you know, people do get triggered by this, and there's often a very intense emotional reaction because of course, you know, who doesn't want to believe in God, right? There is potentially someone looking out for us and protecting us and all that kind of stuff. I get it, but it's a false sense of security. And yeah, it's. I mean, where I am when you look at all this information, the real empowering part of it all is the fact that the reason that they don't want you to look outside of yourself is because we are so truly powerful within. And I honestly believe that we all have a spark of that creative inside of us. And that's how wonderful human beings are. And of course, they want to keep us away from realizing that. You know, we are an infinite amount of essence, energy flowing through us. And that's when you can really grasp that and ponder on that, it's so truly empowering. It's real empowerment, because when you realize that you have God within, so to speak, you're not going to be praying or seeking outside of yourself. And if we could only just grasp that we are essentially have an aspect of the creative essence within us. And I think it's such a wonderful, beautiful thing. And I think if we all realize that overnight, you know, it would all be over.
Yeah. And I have to say, I always wondered what I, as a little carbon entity, what can I add to the true creator by constantly praying and worshiping. I always say worship is the worship.
Yeah. And pray, I've said before in other videos, prayer, what you're doing when you're praying, you'll pray for something, right? So you've got all these people that are praying, giving their energy to this false God that's feeding on all this prayer energy, and you know, feeling more powerful and egotistical because all the subjects are praying to him. So yeah, I mean, it's a huge hurdle for, I mean, there's billions of people trapped in religion and mind control. So, but I think.
Sorry. Some people might think now that we are just unthankful for our life.
Unthankful for what, sorry?
For our life.
Well, and see, this is the other thing about like gratitude. You see a lot about that in the Matrix, in the New Age. And all right, yeah, there's things that we can all be grateful for, but are we really grateful that we're trapped on a slave planet? I mean, really? Like, I don't know how much gratitude I can have for that.
Yeah, it's a little bit limited, I would say.
I mean, it's good to focus on positive things, but I don't know if I wake up every day feeling really gratitude being in this big open air circus with all these masked idiots around me. It's hard to feel gratitude, right, for that.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the thing, like feeling gratitude for gratitude's sake. It's like forgiveness just for forgiveness' sake. Like there's things that need to happen before we should be able to forgive someone. We shouldn't just forgive just for forgiveness' sake. you know, maybe we need an apology from someone.
Yeah, exactly. That happened with my ex-husband. He contacted me after 3 years, and he is sober now. He no longer drinks because he was a heavy alcoholic. And yeah, so he asked if he can come and apologize. And yeah, so every now and then he is here. We are like friends. And
Yes.
so why should I not give him that opportunity? Yeah.
Yeah.
To say what he has on his mind and what is on his soul. And I will not close that door. The second I would have had the impression that this is just a show, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I would have kicked his ass, and then that would have been it. Yeah, but he appears to be, yeah, renewed, I have to say, because alcohol, you probably know that, not because you're drinking so much, that is not what I'm implying here, but it can change the character of somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And all the interference that they open themselves up to, especially alcoholics. I mean, that's why they call it spirits, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, he had a bad time. He was living for 8 months on the street.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. And but he said now in hindsight, it had to happen.
Yeah.
I had to hit rock bottom.
Yeah, you find that a lot with people, don't you? It's like, I've had people in my own life, you try and advise them, tell them what to do, and not tell them what to do, but give them the best advice. And they don't want to listen, don't want to listen, don't want to listen. Then one day, boom, something happens. And then they have to go through that turmoil themselves, or illness, or whatever it might be. And then the penny drops. But for some people, it's too late. They allow it to get too far, don't they?
Yeah. What I also see is a little bit this reversal father figure. And I say reversal because usually a father figure is somebody that guides you, that is protective, that shows you things, how it is done, so that you do not hurt yourself or anybody else. But here, it's always this, the candy in front and the whip behind.
Yes, they give you a bit of sugar, don't they? Yeah, and then they're siphoning off at the back end. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. The archetype of God, this strong bearded man. There's something about the beard as well, isn't it? It's very like masculine, fatherly. So yeah, they pull out all the stops to make these deceptions. I was having a conversation with my friend about. We were talking about archangels and some other of these false white light beings. And archangels in their true form are like squid-looking things, right? So I was saying that they have to show themselves, they have to cloak themselves, because if they showed up as they truly were, then no one would deal with them, right? So they have to do that, and it's the same with this whole idea of God. They've chosen that masculine, manly, protective figure, which just strengthens the false bond people have with this false God, basically. But it always amazes me how people don't look at the plain facts that we mentioned before and question, the fact that you go to hell if you don't believe in him. I mean, how can anyone sit there and think that would be coming from a loving creator? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. What would you say if somebody tells you, yeah, but Tony, if we are honest, humans have that natural inclination to pray and to worship something?
Well, this is the thing. Just because something's old and tradition doesn't make it necessarily right or beneficial. I mean, so much of the things that we're questioning now, I mean, I have it all the time with chakras, right? Yeah, but Tony, the chakras, they've been around since, you know, in ancient Indian gurus and blah, 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 all this tradition gets thrown at you. And it's like, okay, well, where are we as a species? We're more enslaved than we've ever been before. So where have all these traditions and beliefs actually got us? They've got us nowhere. And so, yeah, it's just because we've always prayed or we've done something for a long time, doesn't necessarily mean that it's good, right? And I think we're living in times now where we need to be questioning everything, even ancient, well, especially ancient quote unquote traditions. I mean, most traditions are built on bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
for example, I used to teach English to Korean students, and they're lovely, and a lot of the kids were like early 20s, and I just used to use the lessons to try and wake them up a bit because they're really brainwashed in that area of the world. And they used to come on and say to me, I say, oh, so what are you doing? Oh, I'm studying economics. Oh, do you enjoy it? No, I hate it. I'm like, so why are you doing it then? Oh, well, my granddad and my father said that I should. So they've got this culture of doing what their elders tell them to do, right? Mm. And, you know, where has that got them as a society? You know, they're very obedient, they're very enslaved. And so just because that's a tradition in that culture, that you can tell when you speak to these people, there's a lot of resistance. They don't really want to be doing the things that they're doing. They're only doing it because it's tradition to do what the elders say. You know, they have a great respect for elders, teachers, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, a lot of tradition is bullshit.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention briefly when you talked about the archangels. From what I have gathered, for instance, the very popular Archangel Michael.
Yes.
I always say the pimp life, talking into women's heads since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
And so from what I understand now, that this is an entire collective. We are not dealing with one entity, and it has been highly, highly compromised and corrupted. There is a lot of work and a lot of healing and sorting out stuff to do. Yeah. And as it stands right now, there is something called the Archangel Michael initiation into the blue sword. But actually, this initiation to the blue sword is an enslavement initiative.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, that's one of the biggest triggers that people have with my work. Is like, oh, what do you mean archangels evil? and people say to me, well, who can I pray to? Who can I connect to? Like, there's so many people so desperate to connect with something outside of themselves. And when you take that away from them, not because you want to be horrible, but because it's not the truth, and they're actually getting their energy siphoned off and they're being used, they're left with, you can almost see sometimes they're just left with, oh, I'm on my own then. And there's like this kind of really sad realization, but it's a necessary realization if we're serious about healing and moving forward and really evolving and, you know, ultimately getting out of all this. And it's the same thing at death. You know, these beings will masquerade at the point of death and entice you back in. And of course, people, you know, when they die, they've done no research in their living life, and they'll just go with what these beings are saying and sign all these contracts, and they're back down here being used as batteries for all these entities and being used as a slave. So yeah, the whole false white light beings is a real, it's a big subject that really needs to be spoken about by a lot more people, because it's important that we have a plan when I know it's a bit morbid, but it's important to sort of at least ponder, right, okay, so when I leave this dimension, when my physical body whatever happens, what am I going to do from there? And you know, I don't think people really think. Obviously, they don't want to think about it, but we don't want to get trapped back down here again. And for me, I don't know about you, but I want this to be my last lifetime here. And
oh yes, not coming back.
Yeah. So, you know, we want to just, it's all about discernment, isn't it? I mean, for me personally, I'm not going to deal with beings when I die at all. I don't care if they look like my granddad, who I love dearly, or I'm just not going to. I'm not going to go anywhere where anyone tells me to go. I'm going to set my intention to leave the matrix, and I'm going to rip a hole through the grid, and I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
But you know, it's up to other people what they do. But the point being is at least discern. And there is a lot of manipulative beings that are masquerading, and that's one thing that we have to be really conscious of, especially when we do pass. And the biggest masquerader is this false god, in my opinion.
Yeah, you will find sometimes that people say, yeah, but the Bible, actually, it is one coherent story. We have so many scriptures that foreshadow the coming of Jesus and that he will die and so on and so forth. So that it from page 1 to the last page, it all makes sense.
Mm.
I have interviewed a Torah scholar. He comes from a long lineage of translators. He has a doctor in ancient Hebrew and so on and so forth. So can you see that?
Yeah.
He wrote this book. And for those that understand Hebrew, there are a lot of Hebrew scriptures in there. And he rips apart, I guess, I'm not quite sure, but I guess more than 300. 300 of those scriptures, and he goes one by one and rips it apart. And all of those scriptures have absolutely nothing to do with Jesus, that he is coming. It's out of context. There are a lot of mistranslations and yeah, let's say bending what it is really saying. So, and when I read this book and had him on as an interviewee, and I have to say that is one of I have problems with all religions, but we are in a culture, you know, where even you in Mexico, where it's mostly Christianity. Yeah, even if you are in a non-religious household and you have been raised, you will have a lot of these stories and things still going on. And nobody is really untouched by that. No. So my biggest problem that I have with Christianity, I have, as I said, I have problems with all religions, is that at the core of that belief structure is a human blood sacrifice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is as pagan and as Luciferian as you can get. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Just another inversion, isn't it, of everything else that they invert. They've used that as like a good doctrine to follow when it's completely dark, evil, and satanic.
Yeah. Also,
it's like what I don't understand is like some of the stories in there. Like people, how can people take the idea of Noah's Ark literally, like the idea that this one man gathered up two animals of every species in the planet and put them all on one boat? I mean, like that logically, like, can you imagine the logistics trying to do that? And it's like, come on, like, surely it's a simple, well, that couldn't have happened. So people take it so literally. I mean, there are, I think, like nuggets of truths in there which are allegories, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. And that brings me to another thing that is inherent with religions, and that is religious violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if it's the Crusades, if it's the suicide terrorists, you know, the Quran itself says that suicide is forbidden.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, the imams found a way around that, telling those people, are you a martyrs? Martyrs is
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Suicide, not so much. Yeah. So, and these killings, for instance, Solomon's temple, and allegedly more than 40,000 animals were slaughtered, and for really, I mean, no,
yeah.
that is the creator that I have in mind would probably say, don't kill shit.
Yeah, yeah. None of it makes sense, and
Yeah.
I mean, God, what a problem it's caused on this planet over the centuries.
Yeah.
You know, people killing each other over whose God's better.
Yeah.
So
And
much.
that is the division, you know, skin color, now whiteness, of course, is yeah, you have to be you have to take courses to be less white, and so on and so forth. Yeah, and religion is another one where we are being separated into and every religion says that we are this is the right one. The ones over there across the street, or you better don't join them.
Yeah.
And even religions, let's say Jehovah's Witnesses, they collectively do not do when they are being drafted, they do not join the military, never. Yeah, they rather go to jail.
Yeah.
Which I find that is a positive aspect. Yet, at the same time, this organization has so much trouble with child abuse that is being covered up simply because they have this rule that if you want to accuse somebody, and they say it's biblical,
Right.
you have to have 2 witnesses. Yeah. So come on. Which child has 2 witnesses to its rape?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they use it as a smokescreen, don't they? They use the idea that they're these good God-serving people, and you know, as we know, they're doing horrendous things to children and babies, and I mean, even like circumcision and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like baptism as well. These are all rituals, and they're all giving energy away to some entity there when we do these. You know, when people go to church, even the steeple at the top of the church, that does something energetically. You know, they put them on ley line points and things like that. So all that prayer energy in the church on the Sunday is going out into the ether and feeding this false god.
Yeah, and you can rest assured that on the astral plane, an entity like that is now walking around.
Oh yeah, he's like rubbing his hands. Yeah, feed me, feed me, feed me. No wonder he threatens people with hell, because you know, if you can scare people into worshiping you, then you're doing it by coercion. And have you noticed people even use the term "I'm God fearing"?
Yeah, God fearing.
Oh my God, that's even in the word. God fearing. Why would you fear the creator? Why should you fear him? Surely not. Surely that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
And if you turn it around and let's say you would say my child was disobedient, therefore I put him on the hot stove. Yeah, try to make that case in a court of law.
Oh my
If there
God,
were such a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, my child didn't believe in me, so I set him on fire.
Yeah, it's insane.
And of course, if you spell God backwards, it's dog, isn't it? So there's
Yeah.
there's got to be some kind of mockery there as well.
Yeah, the dog star, serious.
Right.
Yeah, so let's say the Anunnaki, yeah, that is a hybridization program between Dracos and the Syrians.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and the outcome was the Jehovian Anunnaki. So, and you, from there, Sumer, when these races invaded, there it all started, yeah, the confusion.
Yeah.
And then you have these offshoots, yeah, depending on culture. And for instance, Hinduism is very different, but they also believe in a hell. So they always have some things that they all believe in and some things that are very, very different.
Yeah. And of course, it's similar to the New Age. It stops people from taking action, right?
Yeah.
Because people are praying, thinking that's making a difference, right? I mean, for how many centuries have we prayed for peace? Yeah, where's the peace? It's clearly it's not worked. The prayers have not been answered.
Yeah. What do you think, where is this fear coming from of letting those belief systems go? Is it like, you know, the feeling, oh, then I do not have a double net, and if I fall, I have nothing to fall on?
Yeah, it's almost like their comfort cushion gets pulled away from them. And they're left solely with themselves. And that's scary because that comfort cushion has been there maybe from childhood, who knows? And especially people that have a lot of trauma, or, you know, they've had to face a lot on their own in their physical lives, and having this kind of entity that is called God or an angel or something or a guide makes them feel gooey inside. It makes them feel good. So of course you pull the rug away and it can either go away. People get really triggered and they won't ever look at your work again, or they look at it, take a step back, and okay, I need to sort of look at this more closely. And yeah, I mean, this is the whole thing, isn't it? The more we give our power away, the less we're going to become sovereign and really move through this, because until we have that realization, we're always going to be at the mercy of giving our power away to beings or politicians, or that are just going to use and abuse and lie to us and masquerade and deceive us. It's just a massive matrix of things and people masquerading.
Yeah. In your line of work, have you ever come across crucifixion implants or J seals? Okay,
yes.
please talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the crucifix implants, they're quite common. I would say more or less most people have them. I see a lot of them around the heart or certain areas of the brain. So yeah, it's obviously some kind, because when you fold the cross up, what does it makes a cube. Right? And so that's the black cube of Saturn, and the black cube represents mind control. This is why your television is cube shaped. Well, maybe not so much anymore because a lot of them are flat screen, but back in the day they were shaped as a cube. This is why you have the cube of Mecca, the black cube of Mecca, that or the Muslims, they walk around like rings of Saturn. They're walking around in a ring. So when you fold the cross up, it's actually a very basically a satanic symbol that they use very often, because the box is to box the mind control. So yeah, the cross is quite a common implant, the crucifix. Yeah. J seals, I don't know if I see them in the same way, but I see a lot of plugs and different cords and all kinds of different shapes. A lot of the stuff that's here now in terms of the Elon Musk implants, like the NeuroNet, the NeuroLace, those kind of things, they're all there in 4D, as above, so below. But yeah, for sure, the crucifix is, and you know, people are walking around and with their crucifix and so yeah, another deception.
Yeah. So would you say that, because I remember as a little child, one of my grandmothers, she had a crucifix in her living room. Oh my goodness. A thing, you know, that big, and the full shebang with that hanging, dying Jesus on the cross.
Yeah.
And as a child, I felt always very, very uncomfortable in that room.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
would you say that constantly wearing a cross or worshipping it, looking at it time and again, that is reinforcing the crucifix?
Yeah, I would say so.
implant?
Yeah, I mean, everything has like an energetic frequency, like tattoos as well. You know, people get a lot of tattoos, and sometimes depending on who made the tattoo, and some of them there's a lot of the symbology and stuff like that. But yeah, it's the same with all the, you know, the crosses and the other archetypes as well. It's there's an energetic frequency behind it, and when you give your energy to it and an intention, that energy goes somewhere. So that's being probably siphoned off, like all the other prayer energy, into this false god matrix, which is essentially powering it. We're kind of powering it ourselves. But I also, I mean, I'm not a big fan of meditation these days either.
Yeah, me not either. For a long time, I haven't been.
Yeah, I mean, for me, meditation is like a false high. And again, when you're going out, people are trying to go outside of themselves. They're trying to connect outside of themselves. And as soon as you do that, you're potentially opening yourself up. And I've worked with a lot of people down the years that have gone on these week-long retreats, and you know, they've got a lot of interference, right? But these mass meditations with the million people meditating, I'm thinking that's going somewhere, and it's probably going into the false god matrix. So yeah, all that kind of stuff gives me the heebie-jeebies these days. I'm going to probably talk about it a little bit more, but so people then, the natural thing, people then ask me, so who do I connect with, Tony? If I can't connect with
yourself, how about that?
Exactly. Yeah. If I can't connect with Archangel Michael, can't connect with God. Exactly, connect with yourself. I've said before, I don't even like the term higher self, because it implies that there's some kind of higher intelligence outside of us. Again, right? It's very cleverly packed. And people go, what? Don't tell me there's no higher self. What about guides? What about my guide? And like, you can keep doing it, but be my guest. But that's the whole trick. They don't want you to know thyself. Even the Bible says it, know thyself, right? So there are nuggets of truth in terms of allegories and stuff, but who can I connect with? What I would say to people is, instead of like praying out there or meditating out there, go inwards, connect inwards, really feel into your own energy field, your that constant flow of infinite creative essence that's always there through you, and connect with that more. And that's way more empowering than, you know, praying to this God that's going to send you to hell if you don't pray to him.
I remember one day that it was somewhere in not in Germany, I guess it was somewhere in Africa, and there was a local man, and he looked at me very irritated and he said, you have to have a religion. If you do not have a religion, then you are not a human. And I thought, where's that brainwash coming from?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same kind of glazed over look that you get with the New Ages. It's like the lights are on, but no one's home. Yeah, completely disempowering. The quicker we can drop all of these belief systems, and we need to wipe the slate clean. All these beings, we need to put them in the bin and start with ourselves. And the truth is so simple, so often. And when you say just connect with yourself, it almost sounds too simple. Well, there must be more. Well, no, that's how simple it really is.
So, do you think that the true creator will step forward at one point?
Well,
or is it totally not interesting what's going on here, or how do you see that? Has Elvis left this universe, or?
No, I think it. I don't even like
he, she, it, whatever. Yeah,
I think it is incarnated here through us all, through us. You know, whether or not there's some NPCs here that are not connected and they're making up the numbers is up for debate. But you know, it's working through most of us that are watching this kind of content. We're the ones that care. We're the ones that are seeking truth. That we're trying to do the right thing, coming from a place of love. And yeah, that's what they're terrified of. They're terrified of us. They're so insanely jealous of who and what we are and our creative abilities and everything. It's that's kind of like the cosmic joke. We say we've got no power when we're the powerful ones. They're the ones that need us.
Yeah, and exactly.
If we could only realize that, then it just changes how you step outside your front door every day, because your whole energy changes, because you're just empowered. Even whatever happens here, whatever happens to us here, that's what we are. We just have to be careful that we don't get tricked back into this matrix, and we show discernment at that point of death, and don't get tricked by these beings. So
I heard your alarm. You have to go to your spam.
Yes.
Okay, Tony, so I will not keep you any longer. Maybe we can continue that conversation at another point. So I will call it part 1.
Yes, I'd love to, Judith.
Yeah, okay. So Tony, thanks for coming and cutting out this time.
You're welcome.
And I hope we didn't blow anybody away.
might have lost a few more subscribers. When I put that God video out the other day, the false God video, my subscriber count went for a few days.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'm not in the people-pleasing business.
No, me neither. But it was an interesting observation.
Yeah. But you know, there are enough people out there.
Exactly,
yeah. So of course you can watch other videos. So you know, at least in an open society, I expect that I at least can ask the question and put it out there.
Yes.
And think about it. If that turns me into a bad person, okay, then so be it. Exactly. So thanks for coming. And this was it, part 1 with Tony Sayers about the false God matrix. We'll see you all next time. Until then, bye-bye.